So, basically we got a stick and a half of butter in here, and we're just going to stick it in the microwave. And we're going to go ahead and start melting that. We'll just stick it on a minute. Probably take less time than that. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to grab an oven tray here, just like that. While we're waiting for our butter to melt, we take some brown sugar. I like that brown sugar though. Right.
He likes his woman. He likes his sugar like he likes his women.
Brown. And we're gonna grab some bacon. Some good old-fashioned kind of bacon. Alright, that should be pretty close. And stir that up with a wooden spoon here. Make sure that's all nice and melted here. Some proper like. Probably a bit more time in there would be good. Got about 20 seconds left on the clock anyways. Alright, next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our bacon. Up. We're just going to pull. Let's pull that much out for now. Might have to put that up a little bit longer in a minute. We want it to be completely melted. Yeah. I'm going to put that in for like 30 more seconds or so. But you want to be careful. You don't want to burn it. You want it just to get melted and then leave it, because any more will burn it, and burnt butter is not good for anyone. Trust me. All right. Well, we're still waiting on that. We're gonna grab our brown sugar here. We're gonna grab a knife. We're gonna rinse that off because we use that to open the chicken. Make sure that's nice and clean. I'll open up with brown sugar here. Okay. Butter is done, nice and hot. Perfect. Okay. So, we're going to be doing several things at once here in order to ensure that it all gets done on time. So we're just going to set our butter aside just for now. So we're going to concentrate on our bacon right now. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to turn our oven on to probably 350 sounds alright. We'll just do 350. So while that's preheating, what we're going to do is we're going to take our brown sugar. We're going to take a slice of bacon. And it's about like that. So we're going to take some brown sugar. Put it on there. Notice how I'm grabbing the bag and not the sugar, because I just touched the bacon. So I'm just touching the bag, not the bacon. Okay. I'm gonna rinse my hands again. And at this point, it doesn't really matter too much, just because you're gonna put the bacon on top of this brown sugar. Basically, what you're gonna do. That's probably a lot of brown sugar. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna use the excess here. We're gonna spread it out nice and thin. Okay. Then we're gonna take some more brown sugar. I'm just gonna go ahead and grab it, just because that's all we're gonna use this brown sugar for, so it doesn't matter as much anyways. Just put on top. Then we're gonna do the same thing with all these slices of bacon here. Alright, so now we're going to stick the bacon in the oven. It's preheated. Go ahead and turn the light on too. And candied bacon though is one thing you should keep in mind. You have to do it either in the oven or the microwave. You cannot do it by frying the bacon and putting it in a pan, because if you try and fry it, it's not going to come out right. And I'm gonna clean this up a little bit here. Clean as you go, that's the best way to do it.
Clean up, everybody do your share.
Alright, set that away for now. Alright, so next thing we've got our butter. It's melted. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to take olive oil. I like this brand, the Kirkland Signature from Washington. It's good stuff, it works well. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to just make sure we have enough oil to fry some chicken with here. You're going to have to use quite a bit, just so you're aware beforehand. Smell right. Next thing is our bacon. Set our timer. I just forgot to do that. Let's do that real quick. We'll put them in there for about 9 more minutes. Sounds about right. But the reason you can't do it in a pan, by the way, is with the bacon, is because the grease from the bacon and the brown sugar don't mix very well. So when you're tossing it around, it doesn't mix well and it doesn't stick into the meat of the bacon. But if you let it sit on top of it in the oven, then as it heats up, the bacon doesn't slide around or anything. So it literally sinks and hardens onto the meat of the bacon, which is important when making candy bacon. That's what makes it taste like candy. Alright. Next thing, we're going to put water in our bowl here. Okay, that's about right. I go to about like halfway up the bowl, where the handles are on the pot. And I'm going to go ahead and set that on high and let that start to go. Alright. By the way, just so you know, I have not turned on the heat on the oil yet because that's literally the last thing that I need to do. You want to make sure that's the last thing because if you turn it on too early, it'll heat up too much and you could start an oil fire. So make sure you're vigilant of how hot your oil is. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to grab our potatoes since our water's heating up and we're going to start skinning them. Now to my experience, the best way to skin a potato, obviously the first thing you want to do is rinse it off. Turn that down a little bit, okay. I'm going to grab a chopping board here. We're going to set this on top of this. Grab a chopping board. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to cut off that end. I'm just going to toss that guy. Then we're going to grab our peeler. Set like that. We're going to peel this sucker. Just my stove. Okay. Then to finish it off, all you gotta do is grab the ends, and you have a flap. Surface. The fastest I've ever seen anyone peel a potato was with a bucket and a screwdriver. They put sort of a brush end on the screwdriver. And I'm just gonna rinse that again real quick. Filled the bucket with water and potatoes. And when they hit the trigger on the screwdriver, the potatoes went swirling around and stuff. But then because of the brush and the water and everything, I don't know why this worked, but the brush was just abrasive enough to take the skin off of the potatoes. And oops, and they're all peeled. A whole sack of potatoes in literally I think less than a minute. It was pretty crazy. Important note here, it is faster to boil potatoes in pieces than it is to boil them whole. So make sure, depending on how quickly you need them cooked, you cut them up. We're gonna need them fairly quickly, so we're gonna go ahead and cut them up. It doesn't matter how you cut them, smaller chunks still cook faster than bigger chunks. So we're gonna call that good. And I'm just gonna stick my potato pieces in there. The reason I'm not throwing them directly into the pot is because then they all cook at different times. So the ones you put in first are gonna cook faster. They're gonna be more done by the time you get done with the last ones than the ones before. So again, we're gonna wash that off. Just gonna chop the end off. Toss it down there. We're gonna peel this center here. Oops. Alright, so now with the candy bacon, now that it's done, we're going to go ahead and pull that out of there. And you got to be careful because that bacon grease is very hot and that brown sugar is still liquid and it doesn't just cool down. So since we have 2 racks, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a spatula and I'm going to throw these guys on this other rack here. Basically, they should look something like that. Those are still going to be fairly chewy bacon. Now, not super crispy. If you want them crispier, set them in longer. Alright, so we got our potatoes on our burner here. Just like that. I don't know if you can see them, but they're in there. And next, we're going to turn on our oil. Go to sort of a medium high, I would say, or a high medium. Next is the chicken. And I got the Tyson bone in and skin chicken. First thing you gotta do is you gotta dip it in the butter. It helps if you warm the chicken up a little bit. I didn't, just because I'm kind of a food health safety nut. So first thing you gotta dip in the butter. Then you gotta dip it in your breadcrumbs here. Just kind of roll it around. And then you drop it in your oil. It's not going to be hot enough yet, so it's not going to start sizzling. At least not for a bit. So right now I'm going to wash my hands here. Then I'm going to wait for this to kind of get up while our potatoes are boiling. Okay. So basically we started the chicken already. Our potatoes are still boiling. And this is what our first done piece looks like. It's breaded, it's fried. You just want to make sure it's brown on both sides. Constantly rotating it through the oil. Yeah, so just keep going like that until you're done with all your chicken.